In 1971, the world witnessed the emergence of a new nation, Bangladesh. Born out of a devastating conflict, its cities and villages scarred, its people battered by war and famine. At the same time, Pakistan, from which Bangladesh had split, was grappling with its own challenges, both political and economic. Yet, despite sharing a common history and similar starting points, the two countries would embark on very different journeys. Over the next 5 decades, Bangladesh would chart a remarkable course, transforming itself from a symbol of poverty and despair into a story of economic resilience and social progress. Meanwhile, Pakistan, once considered the more prosperous and promising of the two, would fall behind in many key areas. The reasons for this divergence are multi-layered, rooted in choices about economic structure, governance, social investment, and more. To understand why Bangladesh surged ahead while Pakistan faltered, we must first look at the foundation of their economies. At independence, both countries were largely agrarian, dependent on crops such as rice, jute, and wheat. But as the years passed, their paths diverged sharply. Pakistan's economy remained tethered to agriculture and low-value textile exports. The country did not diversify its industrial base or invest in moving up the value chain. As a result, its exports remained concentrated in a few goods: cotton, rice, and simple textiles, leaving it vulnerable to price swings in global commodity markets. This lack of diversification meant that Pakistan could not generate the kind of export revenues needed for sustained economic growth. Bangladesh, on the other hand, made a strategic bet on its people, particularly on the labor of millions of women. By the late 1970s and early 1980s, Bangladesh began to nurture a globally competitive ready-made garment industry. With low labor costs, favorable export policies, and a focus on Western markets, especially the European Union and the United States, Bangladesh became a manufacturing hub for clothing. The garment sector rapidly grew to account for more than 80% of the country's exports, employing millions and fueling a boom in domestic consumption. This export-led growth not only generated foreign exchange, but also created a virtuous cycle, with rising incomes leading to greater demand for education, health, and infrastructure. Demographics played a crucial role in shaping the fortunes of both countries. Pakistan experienced high population growth, more than 2% per year for decades, which consistently outpaced job creation. This demographic pressure strained public services, education, health, and infrastructure. With a fast-growing population, it became difficult for the government to provide adequate opportunities or invest enough in each citizen. In contrast, Bangladesh confronted its population challenge head-on. Through effective family planning campaigns in the 1980s and 1990s, the country dramatically reduced its fertility rate. By bringing population growth under control, Bangladesh eased the pressure on public services and was able to invest more per capita in health and education. This demographic transition laid the groundwork for improved social indicators and economic growth. Governance and political stability have also been pivotal. Pakistan's history since 1971 has been marked by chronic political instability, frequent military interventions, and abrupt changes in economic policy. These disruptions undermined investor confidence, discouraged long-term private investment, and resulted in policy reversals that stifled growth. Corruption and weak institutions further eroded trust in the system. Bangladesh, while not immune to political turmoil, managed to maintain longer periods of policy continuity, particularly in its economic strategy. The government chose to focus on export-led growth, microfinance, and rural development, and these priorities remained relatively stable across changing administrations. This consistency allowed the private sector and civil society to plan and invest for the long term. A striking difference between the two countries lies in their social investments, particularly in human capital. Pakistan historically underinvested in education, with spending hovering around 2% of GDP. Literacy rates, especially for women, lagged behind regional averages. This neglect limited the country's ability to develop a skilled workforce or to realize the full potential of its people. In contrast, Bangladesh made a concerted effort to improve social indicators, often in partnership with innovative non-governmental organizations such as BRAC and Grameen Bank. These organizations pioneered microcredit, expanded rural education, and delivered health services to millions. The results were transformative. Bangladesh saw dramatic improvements in female literacy and workforce participation, which in turn fueled economic growth and poverty reduction. External financing and debt management have also shaped the destinies of both countries. Pakistan's reliance on external borrowing, including repeated International Monetary Fund bailouts and foreign aid, became a double-edged sword. Because the country did not undertake deep structural reforms, much of this external financing went to plugging budget shortfalls rather than building long-term capacity. As debt servicing costs rose, less money was available for development or infrastructure. By contrast, Bangladesh managed its borrowing more conservatively, relying more on export earnings and remittances to finance its development. The country generally avoided chronic balance of payments crises and maintained a steadier macroeconomic environment until very recently. Remittances, or money sent home by overseas workers, have been a lifeline for both countries. Pakistan receives billions of dollars in remittances each year, particularly from the Middle East. However, much of this money is spent on consumption rather than invested in productive enterprises. Bangladesh, too, benefits from large remittance inflows, but these are complemented by the robust earnings from its garment sector. Together, these two sources of foreign exchange have provided Bangladesh with a stable buffer against external shocks. Geopolitical choices have had profound economic consequences. Pakistan, situated in a volatile region, has long prioritized defense spending due to security concerns with India and Afghanistan. This focus has often diverted resources away from infrastructure, industry, and social services. Bangladesh, facing fewer external threats, has been able to channel more of its limited resources into roads, ports, power generation, and human development. This difference in priorities has paid dividends in terms of economic resilience and growth. By the 2020s, the results of these choices were clear. Bangladesh's per capita income overtook Pakistan's, a stunning reversal of expectations from the 1970s. Bangladesh reported lower poverty rates, longer life expectancy, higher literacy, and greater female labor force participation. Its export sector, anchored by garments but increasingly diversified, proved resilient even during global downturns. Meanwhile, Pakistan faced recurring economic crises, rapid currency depreciation, and stalled industrial growth. Structural issues, such as energy shortages, weak institutions, and political instability, continued to hamper progress. Bangladesh's rise is not without its challenges. Environmental threats, including flooding and cyclones, remain ever present. The country now faces new pressures as it seeks to move beyond low-wage manufacturing to higher-value industries. Yet, the story of Bangladesh offers important lessons. That even a poor, disaster-prone country can achieve remarkable progress through strategic investments in people, policy continuity, and integration with the global economy. Pakistan's experience, in turn, is a cautionary tale. Economic potential alone is not enough. Without diversification, sound governance, investment in human capital, and prudent policy choices, growth remains elusive. The persistent focus on defense, lack of political stability, and underinvestment in education have exacted a heavy toll. Ultimately, the contrasting destinies of Bangladesh and Pakistan underscore the importance of choices made by governments, civil society, and ordinary people. They remind us that the path to prosperity is neither inevitable nor predetermined, but is shaped, step by step, by decisions about what to value, where to invest, and how to build for the future. As both countries look ahead, their experiences offer powerful lessons not only for themselves, but for developing nations around the world.